I used to think I'd closed all the chapters that needed closing. Thought the past was a finished book on a dusty shelf. I was wrong about that. Her name was Deusa. That wasn't her birth name, just what everyone called her. Said it was because she had this goddess-like look about her. Truth is, she had a way of drawing people in, smile like a secret, voice soft but certain. When we met, I was 25. Working construction down in Florida, just trying to keep my head above water. She was a server at this little Cuban spot we all went to after shifts. I barely noticed anything back then, just trying to pay rent and stay out of trouble. But she noticed me. And when Deusa noticed you, it felt like something permanent. We were together for 10 years. Lived together for 8 of them. Had 2 daughters, Sophia and Luisa. The kind of girls who ask too many questions and laugh too hard at their own jokes. I loved them like air. There was never a second in all of this I didn't want them. Never. With Deusa, it wasn't always easy, but it was solid, at least that's what I thought. She had moods. Went quiet for days sometimes. Talked big about dreams she never chased. But when it was good, it was like we were on the same page in a book nobody else could read. We lived in this ranch-style house just outside Tampa. Not fancy, but it had a yard and enough space for the girls to have their own rooms. I'd come home from work, dust still in my hair, and there they'd be, coloring, bickering, dancing to music on the kitchen speaker. I thought that was the picture. The life. Not perfect, but enough. Then, out of nowhere, everything cracked. It was a Tuesday. Late summer. Hot as hell even at 6 in the evening. I was just wrapping up the site, drywall, some window fittings when I got a call from one of the neighbors. This old guy named Richard who lived 2 houses down. He was the kind of neighbor who notices everything, always trimming his hedges and watching the street like it was a job. He said, "Hey, sorry to bother you, but some guy's been at your house a while. Pulled in about an hour ago. He's still there. Just thought you should know." I said, "You sure?" "Yeah." Tall guy. Didn't recognize him. Just figured I'd call. My stomach dropped. I tried to laugh it off. Said probably her brother or something. But she didn't have a brother. I hung up, got in my truck, and drove like hell. Every mile felt longer than the last. When I pulled up, the first thing I saw was his car. Parked crooked in my driveway like he didn't care. A black Dodge, still running. I didn't knock. I didn't yell. I just walked in. And there she was on the couch, half-dressed, this guy sitting there like he belonged. She didn't even flinch. Just looked at me like I was interrupting something minor. I said nothing. My mouth was dry. I could hear the bathroom fan running down the hall. Could see one of Luisa's dolls on the floor. The guy stood up. Tall. Clean-shaven. Maybe early 30s. Looked like someone who wore cologne to the gym. He said, "Hey man, I didn't know." I cut him off with a hand. Didn't want to hear it. Didn't want to hear any of it. Deusa stood up, pulled her shirt down like that would fix it. I asked, "How long?" She didn't answer. I asked again, louder, "How long?" She looked down and said, "A few months." That was it. No tears. No apology. Just the truth, flat and sharp. I walked back outside, sat on the porch steps and stared at the grass. I could hear them inside. Him grabbing his things. Her whispering. Then the front door opened and closed. And just like that, everything I thought was mine wasn't. I sat there on the porch for maybe an hour. Sun went down. The cicadas started up. I didn't move. Deusa never came out. Didn't offer an excuse or ask if I was okay. She just stayed inside, probably texting him. Eventually, I went in. She was in the kitchen, making tea like it was a normal night. The girls were at her sister's, some movie night they planned days ago. Thank God for that. I said, "You could have just told me." She didn't look up. Would you have listened? That pissed me off. I was the one who'd been blindsided, and now I was being blamed for not noticing the storm before it hit. I packed a bag, just a few clothes, my boots, some chargers. She didn't stop me. As I was heading out the door, she said, "They need you. Don't stay gone." I stopped. Turned. Said, "Then maybe you should have thought of them before opening your legs to someone else." She flinched. Good. I left. Didn't have a plan. Just drove around for a while, ended up sleeping in the cab of my truck behind a hardware store. I had $42 in cash and half a tank of gas. That was my start-over fund. Next morning, I called into work and said I needed a few days. My foreman didn't ask questions. Guys in construction know the look when something at home goes bad. They give you space. I crashed with a buddy for a week, Miguel. We'd worked together for years. He didn't ask much either, just handed me a beer and let me have the couch. He had his own baggage and didn't judge. The hard part wasn't the anger. That was easy. It was the quiet in-between moments that broke me down. Brushing my teeth and realizing my daughters wouldn't peek in to ask dumb questions. Reaching for a coffee mug and remembering the chipped one Louisa gave me for Father's Day. Just dumb little ghosts everywhere. The girls didn't know at first. Deusa kept them out of it. I asked her to. Said I needed time to figure out what to say. She agreed. For once we were on the same side. I'd go see them at the park or take them to ice cream after school. Short visits. No overnight stays yet. I didn't want them to see me living out of a duffel bag. Sophia asked me one day, "Why aren't you home?" I told her, "Mom and I are working through something." She nodded like she understood. She didn't. But she didn't press. Louisa just hugged me harder every time she saw me. I ended up renting a room from a divorced guy named Dave. Craigslist find. He had a dog, watched a lot of reality TV, and didn't care if I came and went. It was cheap, quiet, and smelled like old carpet. That became home. Deusa and I started texting again, not like before, just logistics. Drop-offs, school events, money. Always dry. Always short. I didn't ask about the guy. She didn't offer. About a month in, she called one night. First time we'd actually spoken since it all went down. She said, "I'm sorry." I didn't say anything. She added it wasn't about him. It was about me. I said, "It's always about you." She was quiet a long time. Then she said, "I don't love him. I don't even know what this is." I said, "You blew up your life for it." She said, "I know." I hung up. Not because I was mad, but because I knew that wasn't the last time she'd say something like that. And I couldn't keep being the guy she bled on just because I was still standing. 2 months passed. I got my own place. Small, 1-bedroom near the highway. Rented a twin bed, fold-out couch, and used kitchen set. First night there, I laid down and just stared at the ceiling. Felt more like a guest in someone else's mess than the beginning of something new. But at least it was mine. And that mattered. It had been 3 months since I walked in on Deusa and that guy. I'd settled into the new apartment. Got a decent couch off Facebook Marketplace, a table that wobbled, and a bed that didn't creak too bad. It was bare bones, but it was clean. And mine. I picked the girls up every other weekend. Sophia was starting to get quiet. Real quiet. Too much for a kid her age. Louisa still talked a mile a minute, but it had that nervous edge now, like she was trying to fill all the silence. I tried not to bring up the house or their mom. I didn't want them to pick sides. But one night, after I dropped them off, I waited in the car. Don't know why. Just sat there. That's when I saw him. Same guy from that night. Walking out the front door. Shirt half-buttoned. Keys in his hand. My heart dropped. Again. I thought maybe it was a one-time thing. A mistake. But there he was, casual, like he lived there now. I waited till he drove off. Then I called. She didn't answer. The next morning I texted, "He lives there now?" She replied, "Not your business." And that was it. All those years. All that life. Just reduced to cold texts and short drop-offs. 1 week later, Sophia didn't want to come over. Said she had homework. Said she didn't feel like going anywhere. I knew what it really was. She didn't want to leave her sister alone with him. That hit harder than anything. I texted Deusa. Said I wanted to talk. She agreed to meet at a diner, middle of the day, public place. No scene. When she walked in, I barely recognized her. Not the look, she still looked like herself. It was something in her eyes. Like she was living in a different movie now and I was just a past character she didn't need anymore. I said, "I want to talk about the girls." She nodded. I said, "They're scared." She rolled her eyes. "They're not scared. They're adjusting." I said, "He shouldn't be there all the time." "Not yet. It's too fast." She sipped her coffee. "You don't get to tell me how to live." I leaned in. "This isn't about you. This is about them. They don't feel safe." That got her. She flinched. Just a little. But I saw it. "I'm not saying he's a bad guy," I added. "But they're not ready for this. And you know it." She didn't answer. I paid the check and left. That Saturday, I showed up to pick them up. Louisa came out with her backpack. Sophia didn't. I asked where she was. Louisa just shrugged. "She's not feeling good." I told her I'd wait. Deusa opened the door. Said she's staying home this weekend. I said I want to hear that from her. She shut the door in my face. I stood there for 5 minutes, then 10. Knocked again. Nothing. As I walked away, I heard it. From the hallway inside. Crying. Muffled. "Sophia." I stood by my truck, keys in hand, shaking. That kind of shaking where you don't even feel cold, you just feel hollow. That night, I filed for joint custody. Didn't care about the cost. Didn't care how long it'd take. I just knew I couldn't let them disappear into someone else's story. I always thought if we split, it'd be quiet. Maybe even respectful. I was wrong. Once I filed for joint custody, Deusa turned into someone I didn't recognize. Her lawyer called mine the next week. Said I was unstable, manipulative, and emotionally neglectful. Said I'd abandoned the family and that the girls were better off in a consistent environment. My lawyer asked, any of that true? I said no. He said, doesn't matter. She's drawing blood. I started documenting everything. Texts, call logs, pickup times. Started recording every exchange just to have proof I wasn't doing anything wrong. The whole thing made me feel like a criminal trying to prove he hadn't robbed his own house. The girls felt it. Even Louisa. She stopped calling me dad and started using daddy again, like she was shrinking back into a younger version of herself. Sophia barely spoke. When she did, it was just school updates or short answers. One time, I asked if she wanted to go to the beach. She said, can I say no without you getting sad? That one stuck with me. The court date was set. 6 weeks out. Until then, it was all temporary orders. I got them every other weekend plus Wednesday dinners. The Wednesday dinners were the hardest. I'd pick them up, take them to this diner we liked, big booths, pancakes all day. Sophia wouldn't eat much. Louisa would tell me about a project at school, then stop halfway through, like she wasn't sure if she was allowed to enjoy herself. One Wednesday, Sophia asked if I was dating anyone. I said no. She nodded. Good. I asked why. She said, because I don't like him. I knew who she meant. The guy in the house. I didn't push. The week before the hearing, Deusa texted, we need to talk before court. We met at a coffee shop. Neutral ground. She showed up with her lawyer. No handshake. No smile. Her lawyer laid it out, they wanted full custody. I could have supervised visits, holidays if agreed upon, but no overnight stays until emotional stability was confirmed. I almost laughed. Instead, I said, this isn't about the girls. This is about control. Deusa didn't deny it. Just looked at her coffee and said, you shouldn't have left like that. I said, you shouldn't have made me. The meeting ended in silence. Court day came. Hot, stale air in the hallway outside the courtroom. My lawyer handed me a list of questions the judge might ask. I read them but didn't absorb a word. Inside, Deusa wore a light blue dress. Polished. Practiced. She smiled like this was just a chore to get through. Her lawyer spoke first. Painted me like a ghost dad who ran off the moment things got hard. Said I was emotionally detached, volatile, and prone to avoidance. Then it was my turn. I told the truth. That I never wanted to leave my daughters. That I left because I couldn't stay in a house where love had become a lie. That I never once raised a hand, never missed a payment, never stopped showing up. The judge listened. Took notes. Didn't say much. A week later, the ruling came in. Joint custody, but the primary residence stayed with her. I got weekends and Wednesdays. Summer split evenly. Holidays alternated. It wasn't what I wanted. But it was something. After that, the air between us changed. No more pretending. No more small talk. Just cold exchanges and clipped texts. The girls noticed. Sophia asked one night, do you hate mom? I said no. I just don't know who she is anymore. She nodded, looked down at her plate. Then she said, I don't think she does either. The custody order was done. Papers signed. Dates locked in. Lawyers paid. And still, I couldn't sleep. Even with the judge's decision, even with the structure, I lay awake most nights staring at the ceiling fan, listening to traffic from the highway. I think about all the moments I missed when I was too tired or too distracted to show up fully. And now that I wanted every second, I was left with scraps. The apartment started to feel smaller. Not physically, just emotionally. Like it was holding all the echoes of what I didn't say, what I didn't fix. The girls came over, sure, but they were never fully with me. Their bags stayed packed by the door. They didn't hang posters in the room I set up for them. Louisa once asked if she could sleep on the couch instead of the bed. I said okay. That night, I heard her crying. Not loud, just soft and steady. I didn't know if it was about me or everything else. Sophia stopped eating breakfast when she stayed over. Said her stomach hurt. I wanted to believe it was just nerves. I also knew it wasn't. At one point, I asked her, what do you need from me? She looked at me with these tired eyes no kid should have and said, I don't know. That's when I realized maybe I was still part of the problem. I tried to fix things in little ways. Showed up early for pickup. Bought the snacks they liked. Read up on parenting books. Tried to stay upbeat, steady, patient. But kids don't care about effort. They care about presence. About consistency. And I hadn't given them enough of either. Deusa? She moved on fast. At least on the outside. Her Facebook was full of filtered selfies, beach days, brunches with the girls. The guy was still around, though not in every photo. I muted her account but didn't delete it. I told myself it was for the girls, keeping tabs. But really, I couldn't look away from the wreckage. One night, around 2 a.m., I went through old photos. Not the big ones, wedding vacations. The small ones. Louisa with pancake batter on her nose. Sophia asleep on the couch holding a book. Deusa and I laughing at a picnic, not even looking at the camera. We looked happy. And maybe we were for a little while. But the thing no one tells you is that love doesn't end with yelling or slammed doors. It ends in small silences. Missed looks. Conversations avoided. Touches withheld. And then one day, someone else walks into your house like it's theirs. After that photo spiral, I turned off my phone and just sat in the dark. Melissa texted the next morning. She hadn't messaged in months. Said, thinking about you. Hope you're okay. I stared at it a long time. Didn't know what to say. Because I wasn't okay. I wasn't even close. But I also wasn't angry anymore. I just felt empty. And in some ways, that was worse. After Melissa's text, I didn't reply. Not right away. Not at all, really. I just let it sit there, blue bubble staring at me, waiting for a heartbeat I didn't have anymore. It wasn't anger. Wasn't regret either. It was just nothing. And that scared me. Because nothing means you're not even sure you want to come back. The apartment stayed clean because nobody was there to make a mess. I stopped buying snacks for the girls. They weren't eating them anyway. The fridge was mostly condiments and bottled water. Frozen meals I barely touched. Some nights I ate, some nights I didn't. Wednesday dinners got quieter. Louisa still talked, but only when Sophia didn't come. And Sophia, she stopped altogether. Not just visiting, but texting. No replies. No acknowledgements. Nothing. I checked in with Karen just to make sure she was okay. She said Sophia was fine. Teen stuff, she called it. But I knew. It wasn't teen stuff. It was trust broken in slow motion. Work became the only place that felt normal. Hammer, nails, plywood, deadlines. Simple things with answers. Things you could fix. My boss offered me more hours. I said yes. Started coming in early, staying late. Saturdays too. No reason not to. I thought about reaching out to a therapist. Googled a few. Even dialed one once and hung up before they answered. What was I gonna say? I blew up my life chasing something I didn't understand and now I can't even talk to my kids? Yeah. Real productive. Deusa stopped responding to anything that wasn't logistics. She used periods now. No exclamation marks. Just cold, hard text. She had one, technically. Kept the house. Kept the rhythm of the girls' lives. But I wondered sometimes if she ever sat in our old bedroom and felt like it all rang hollow. I doubted it. Women move forward. Men get stuck. That's what Miguel said one night when I crashed a beer in his garage after work. You still think about her? He asked. I didn't have to ask who. I just nodded. Don't, he said. She's a ghost, bro. You're haunting yourself. He wasn't wrong. But he wasn't all the way right either. Because the real haunting wasn't her. It was me. Who I used to be. Who I tried to be. And the fact that I failed at both. I started running. First just around the block. Then farther. Bought cheap sneakers. Didn't use an app or tracker. Just ran until my legs burned and the air hurt to breathe. It didn't solve anything. But for a little while it made the noise go quiet. One night, I came home, sat on the edge of my bed, and realized I hadn't heard my name spoken out loud in days. Maybe a week. Just sir at work. Next in line at the store. Nothing real. Nothing personal. And that's when it really hit me. I'd gone from husband to visitor. From dad to appointment. And I'd done most of it to myself. By the time fall came around, the routines were set. I'd run in the mornings, work during the day, heat up dinner, and sit with the TV off most nights. I still picked up Louisa on my weekends. Sophia stopped coming completely. I didn't press. I sent messages, sometimes a little joke or an old photo I found. She never replied. One night, I texted her, still got that drawing you made me when you were 7. The one with the weird cat with glasses. I waited for a reply. Nothing. Next morning, I deleted the message. Not out of anger. I just couldn't look at it anymore. Louisa kept coming, but even she started pulling back. She didn't sleep over as much. Said she had homework, sleepovers, cheer stuff. Normal things. But I knew what it was. The tether was thinning. And I didn't know how to fix it. The thing no one tells you about losing your family is that it doesn't happen in one big moment. It's not the cheating. It's not the fight. It's not even the court date. It's the slow fade. The unanswered texts. The way your daughter's voice stops sounding like home. The way the house you built your life in becomes someone else's background. Karen never said much after the paperwork. Just handled the details, kept the girls steady, and lived her life. She never lashed out. Never sent late-night messages. She didn't have to. Her silence did more damage than any words could have. And Melissa? She was just a chapter. A short one. The kind you flip back to sometimes to remember why everything changed. She messaged me one last time, maybe 6 months after it all. Said, "I still think about you. Hope you're okay." I read it. Didn't reply. Because there was nothing to say. I wasn't okay. I also wasn't not okay. I was just here. Existing. Living in a one-bedroom near the train tracks. Seeing Louisa less and less. Watching Sophia become a stranger from a distance. The girls turned into teenagers. They changed their hair, their music, their faces. And I missed most of it. Not because I wanted to, but because I didn't know how to stay close without making it worse. On my 49th birthday, Louisa texted, "Happy birthday, Dad." It was the only message I got that day. I replied, "Thanks, sweetheart." She didn't respond. And that's just how it goes. Not with a bang. Not with a blowout fight. But with a slow, quiet fade. Now, every Wednesday, I still drive past their school. Just in case I catch a glimpse. A flash of a backpack I recognize. A walk that looks like hers. Just to remember what it felt like to be part of something that mattered. I don't expect them to come back. Not really. But I'll always be here. Not because I think they'll need me again. But because I need to believe I didn't disappear entirely. And if they ever look back, just once, I want them to see that I was still standing. Still trying. Even when everything else was gone.